everybody, what's going on? This is Andre Sweeney, the Life Specialist. Welcome to the Get a Life Show, the show that gives you the tools and principles necessary for an outstanding life. Today's segment is called Life Nuggets, and today I want to talk to you from the subject, the 5 stages of grief. You know, grief is a horrible situation. It can rob you of your future. It can depress you. Some commit suicide over it. Some continue to live, but they never have a life that's full of abundance because they're stuck. And so I want to talk to you about the 5 stages that people normally go through when they're grief stricken. So when you see your loved ones, you'll be able to help them through these stages. Now, this is not for everybody, but there's a general population of people when they experience grief that goes through these stages. The first stage is denial. This is the stage where a person just doesn't want to admit what happened. They can't come to grips with the fact that there's a loss. You know, there's different kinds of grief. There's grief from death. There's grief from broken relationships. There's grief from failure, a loss of a job. So there's many different types of grief. But whatever the type is, this person cannot admit to themselves. They're not able to look in the mirror and admit that that loved one is dead. They can't come to grips with the fact that the boyfriend left them. The husband has divorced you. You can't admit it. You can't believe that it's happening. And so denial is the first stage of getting over the grief process. You have to first be able to admit that there's a loss. The next is anger. Once you get to the point where you admit it, once you said, okay, I understand, my loved one has passed, my mother, my father's gone, my wife left me. Once you get to that point, you begin to get angry. You start to get mad about the situation. Even when a person dies, you blame them for leaving, even though they're dead. You're upset. You're ticked off because you gave 15 years to that man, you loved him, you cooked for him, you washed his dirty underwear, and he had the nerve to cheat on you and leave you for another woman? Oh no, you're mad about that thing. No, at first you couldn't believe it, but now you understand it, and now you're pissed because that person is gone, and you feel like, hey, you gave them the best years of your life. You're angry, you're upset. Anger is the second stage of grief. The next stage, the third stage, is bargaining. Have you ever talked to God about something and you say, man, God, if you just get me out of this situation, if you just take the pain away, I promise I'll do this, I promise I'll do that. If you just make me forget about that guy or forget about that girl, I promise you I won't be stupid the next time and date someone like that. Lord, if you just take the hurt away from my loved one dying, I promise you I'll do things different. You start bargaining. You start wanting to make a deal because it hurts so bad. We bargain when we grieve. The next stage, the fourth stage, is depression. Once we begin to try to get out of the situation and we realize we can't, depression can take over. Depression is that deep sense of sadness. Oh, depression is deep. It's more than just being sad. It's more than just being hurt. Depression is like putting on something. It's like a jacket. Depression can get so bad it could drive you to lose your mind. Depression can cause you to not even want to live, to not want to live, to not be able to function. Depression can make you get to a point where you won't even want to get up and wash your face in the morning. Depression is one of the last stages of grief. But if you're not careful, once you get depressed, sometimes people never come out of it. That's the fourth stage. The fifth and the last stage of grief is acceptance. You become to the point where you accept what happened. Okay, they're dead, they're gone. Okay, they left me. Alright, I got fired. And now I have to move on with my life. And this is the stage that you want to come to. You don't want to get stuck in denial. You don't want to get stuck in anger. You don't want to spend the rest of your life trying to bargain with God about it. You definitely don't want to be depressed. You want to get to the point where you're healthy. No, you're not happy about the situation, but Lord, I accept it. I accept the fact that these things happen, and I have to move on with my life. I have a purpose. I have a calling. And just because you don't love me anymore doesn't mean my life is over. Just because you're dead and gone doesn't mean I have to stay and die with you. Just because I got fired don't mean I'm supposed to just sit here and be unemployed the rest of my life. No, I must accept what life brings. Good, bad, the ugly. But I'm not going to stay here. I refuse to be a victim. I refuse to sit up here and talk about the good old days as if my life is over. I'm going to move on. I'm going to be something. I'm going to be productive. I accept what life has brought me, but I do not accept being a victim. I will not lay here and die. I will do the best I can to be who I was called to be. And that's what it's all about. So for all of you out there who are grieving, keep pushing. Keep pressing. Keep fighting. And get to that last stage where you accept it and you move on. This is Andre Swing, the life specialist. And I'm here to tell everybody who's grieving, I want you to get a life.